And if you go back and watch it, he says Venus is the morning star. See that the Egyptians were using? The booty hole, the testicles, and the penis. Okay? Venus, Lucifer. Remember Lucifer, you see there is a male and female. Okay? Goat demon, Baphomet, right? What did he say? He said that 5-pointed star on the Moorish flag, you already know what it is. It's Venus. What is the symbol church doing on the toilet door for women? Venus orbit, pentacle, pentagram. Okay? Holy Grail, Lucifer. Okay? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. What's going on here, buddy? Talk about it. Wait a minute. What, Venus? Wait a minute. Venus, church symbol. Sex, pagan sex magic. Okay? Baphomet's cross. Remove the suspicious parts upside down. What do you...
Now let's just put this out there. Islam to all the Moors. Peace and love to all the Moors. Let's just put this out there for the cowards who are scared of magic. Put this out to the cowards who are scared of magic. The cowards who are scared of going back to their ancient customs because they've been so trained to be good Negroes. They've been so colonized that they're throwing away their own stuff. They have their stuff, but they don't want that. They want to actually give up their own stuff for fictions. So we'll just put this one out there. Indeed, a number of supposedly Templar artifacts have surfaced which bear an image of an unusual male-female hybrid which resembles the alchemical drawings of the soul of the world. The Baphomet, the goat man head with the titties sitting down in the lotus pointing at the 2 moons. Is a resemblance of the alchemical drawings of the soul of the world. The world has its own soul. You thinking that you're not connected to something, thinking that your meditation is only for you to get something out of it.
Right.
The historians over the years have debated the possibility that the Baphomet rumor was true or an artifact of torture, and many suggestions about the origin of the word have been put forward. Some have proposed that the name Baphomet is a corruption of the name Muhammad.
Say that again?
Some have proposed that the name Baphomet is a corruption of the name Muhammad. Or from the Greek, a phrase meaning baptism of wisdom. So if Baphomet means baptism of wisdom, why are people running from Baphomet? Why are people trying to make Baphomet why are these people trying to make wisdom evil?
Read Eurocentric thinking.
Eurocentric thinking. Or Bufihimat. 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 Baphomet, Moorish Spanish for father of wisdom. Moorish Spanish? What do you mean Moorish Spanish? What do you mean there's a Spanish version, a Moorish version of Spanish?
Right.
How come they never told you before? How come they never told you before? They keep playing games with you. And as Moors, it's our duty to let you know. We're not hating on people. We're pointing out where the lies are. Others have suggested more intriguing possibilities that Baphomet is a Kabbalistic cipher of the Gnostic goddess Sophia, or a variant name of the goddess of wisdom, Meti, M-E-T-I-S. Hey, there's a so-called Indian tribe out here that calls themselves M-E-T-I-S. Goddess of wisdom is the name of their tribe, which would be the origin of Baphomet. So I just want to put that out since he said Baphomet. More, you got anything to add on?
Islam, and he keeps complaining about the word Lucifer. In the ordinary dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary, American edition, on page 892, the definition of Lucifer is a noun. 1, Satan. 2, poet. 3, the morning star. The planet Venus. That's what's in the brackets. That's the etymology. Says the planet Venus. 3, Lucifer. Archaic. And friction match. Old English, Latin equals light, bringing, morning star. So, like the bringing of the light. And it says, also see the devil. So just in case they try to switch words, Lucifer, the devil, both the same thing, the morning star, both being the light bearer, according to the dictionary. Planet Venus. Back to bringing up the light. It says it right there in the dictionary. Just in case they try to do, oh, that's evil, wicked. They didn't say nothing about none of that. Doesn't say anything about any of that. None.
Right,
I just wanted to add that in.
Islam,
right there, because he's going in, you know, and those words, like, they spook it. So you're not spooking nobody. That's old, too.
Exactly.
Like,
trying to spook people. You're trying to spook people. You know how much, I mean, they're not UFOs anymore. You know how much FOs they found? People seen? You know how much orbs and entities and, you know what I mean? Stuff coming out of ether, saving people, moving them away from the truck, about to crush them and stuff like that going on right now? You trying to spook people? If you're spooked right now, you're obviously a Negro still.
Yep.
If you're spooked about Lucifer and the devil and Satan, you're a Negro. And you better put down what you're doing and start studying, because you have no idea what the hell you're talking about, claiming that you're some whatever, that people should follow you, follow your whatever. You've been around for however long, and you're spooked at Baphomet and Lucifer. If you can't even see Lucifer and you're scared of that, then you got problems.
Yeah.
And if they got problems, why are you following them? Now again, you know, we're always going to look at it metaphysical as morals. Metaphysically, Lucifer is the day star, the principle of light.
Right.
Anything consisting of light is Lucifer.
Mm.
I'll say that again.
Mm.
Anything metaphysical meaning of Lucifer, the day star. Anything consisting of light qualifies as Lucifer.
Sounds like the burning bush.
Yep.
They'd be mad if you told them that.
and
Can't tell them that.
Can't tell them. If you go there, what's gonna happen? Their ego is gonna come in.
Yep. Yep.
Right? But unlike having a nationality which grounds you, they have to try to overpower. And that's where the ego is coming in. Because they really can't battle with the truth. And they're never going to get mad at Lucifer, who they really should be mad at. They're going to be mad at me. They're going to be mad at you. They're going to be mad at some other Moors that told them something. Don't get mad at that. Get mad at the info.
Right.
Get mad at the fact that Lucifer means day star. And it also represents Venus and whatever else it has to represent. Because that's just what it is. If your dumbass wants to think that Lucifer is some under the ground whatever, or pitchfork guy with a tail chasing you or whatever, and then you're in the flames and it smells like burning flesh and talking crazy.
Yep.
You deserve everything that you get. Because if you really took in that you're Lucifer, you would realize that, oh, that's consciousness. That's getting up from out of the lower self into the higher self when you're Lucifer. When you're Lucifer, you're awake to the fact that you're a demon.
Mm.
When you're Lucifer, you realize that, yes, anything consisting of light. But not all light is bright. They are dull lights.
Yep.
So the dull lights are the Lucifer.
Yep.
Yes, it's light. But how is the light dull? Because of the fall. They wanted to honor the Most High, which is woman. So you fall. They're going to not honor the where you came from and talk crazy to God. God made you and you're talking crazy to God. And then even her, in her ego, falling in love with her creation. Instead of molding it into a man and then fall in love with it. It's about raising consciousness. It's about higher vibrations. Once you're in the lower realms, you're Lucifer. Yeah, this is the light bearer, but that's a dull light. It's not the light. Halo, aura, right? A star. If Lucifer is a star, he not really saying nothing. But Lucifer is higher self. Lucifer on a plane toward righteousness, not trying to have people down in their lower vibration with them, spooking about some Lucifer. Not even recognizing that they're talking about their self as they are right there in their lower self, calling aunts booty holes and all that type of stuff. Yeah, that's light, but that ain't the light. If you're looking at Ankh like a booty hole, that proves you're Lucifer. That proves you're on the lower end of the totem pole. It proves that you're just like the dirt for everybody to use to get somewhere. And you're just under there. Don't get anything but just stepped on. Neck, face, back, ankles, whatever. Doesn't matter. And dumbass Lazarus just doesn't want to get up. Get up, nigger. You're more than light. And once everybody realizes, if Lucifer's the light and Juali said, yeah, bring you the marvelous light, where you repping? I'll go for some marvelous light. Forget all these people's BS that they call light. And once that switch gets flicked, and that real light manifests, and you start realizing that, damn, when we got 2, 4, 6, 8 vibrating on that same frequency, recognizing what the real light is, there's no stopping what's supposed to get done. But as long as there's the physical meaning people that never deal with the metaphysical meaning and claim that they're there to save you, and they got the best Prada shoes with their dashiki on, and you're going behind these people? Like you say, you think like it's at the point where, oh yeah, it's at the point where the vibration is quickening, things are happening, and the illusion is everybody looking for something physical when everything's happening metaphysical. Nothing in the physical has any, that's just part of the game. When a Moor could put we are Moors. We are all Moors. Anur Majid into the ethers. A Moor could say, hey Moors, we are all Moors. Anur Majid. Into the ethers. And then A Moor is going to call a Moor and say, hey, Moor, you heard those Moor talking crazy about some We Are All Moor books? Yeah, that shit was crazy. Can't find that book. I got 2 of those. Yours is coming in the mail. That's higher self. That's metaphysical. That's not about just some book. This is about something coming down from some galactic federation that knows that there's a frequency of knowing happening, but there's a level of knowing that only particular people want to know. If every Moor, true Moor, studious Moor, were to tell you, hey, why don't you just come, to my house or whatever. And then you go over there, and this Moor in his house has a library bigger than any library that you ever went to. And you're looking at him and you're like, this individual, like who, how, why, did you read all these? Yeah, I read all those. That Moor is supposed to be inspired by that. Just like the same way that the Moor just put it in the ethers. We are all Moors.
Yep.
And then We Are All Moors manifest. That's just for Moors. It's not for black guys. It's not for these temple guys who think that what they got in some order that got handed down to them, or they got some secrets or whatever. This is about man getting to his higher self. Only way you're going to do that is with people who are on a certain frequency relative to Moors. There's nothing else. And when you deal with Moors, you deal with Moorish science, Moorish history, Moorish law, Moorish, everything with Moorish on it, just like they did. Moorish Spanish.
Yep.
Why are they doing that? Why are they just putting that on that? Why is it African Spanish? How come there's no African Spanish? They're the founders of civilization, aren't they? Shouldn't they have created Spanish?
Right. Kemet Spanish.
Kemet Spanish. How come there's no Kemet Spanish? Because man tells us, Horace Butler, that Egyptians are over here. So Mexico's down there, and Cuba and all the stuff that do the Spanish or whatever. No? Everything's Moorish. And all we're trying to do is open you up. Because trust me, we already got this. We don't have to be out here doing this. But, Allah sent the prophets, so we don't play around with Allah. Said, go out on his word because somebody has to uplift all humanity. And do that with 5 principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And all you do what you're supposed to do. And doing what we're supposed to do, we know what's folly. Because we study, we got libraries. You talk to any Moor. Any Moor who's really studious. We're not talking like, just, 1,500 encyclopedias or whatever, and that's it. We're talking like actual real books that you read this book, turn your brain to water. because you would not even believe what you weren't told by your own people who knew all of this and told you nothing. Took a Moor who's just studying to tell you about some We Are All Moors book that no Moor ever put out there like that. I never heard no Moor put out like that. I know Moors who study and got books. And this is a reference point like Our Fellow Children in the New World, or They Came Before Columbus, Nature Knows No Color Line. Like, this is something on par with those.
Yep.
And you heard about those, well, you know, only because they, you know, they towed the line.
Yeah, right.
We Are Moors?
Right.
Never ever heard about this book ever. You heard about all these other Moorish books or whatever, Moors in Spain, Moors in this, Moors in that.
Yo, all your scholars.
All your scholars, Moors books you heard about.
them.
You never heard about some Anur Majid? And if you did, how come you didn't push this like you pushed those stuff? Because we go through this in 5-6 pages or whatever. You're going nuts in your head. Like, what the hell is going on right now? What is really going on right now relative to this information about us being Moors? It's the awakening time. The things are, the awareness is there. It's just for you to go put your hand in and grab whatever it is, awareness you want. Because a lot of these things, it's the metaphysical of it that's going to make the physical manifest. It's not because you sent the paper out. What did you put behind the paper? What kind of ink did you write it in? Did you write it and then type it? Or did you just type it?
Yeah.
How deep you want to go with it? You know? And most people don't want to go deep with it. So if you go deep with it, then it means no more of them.
Right.
Because what are they going to teach you now? If you go deep with it, then it's a level playing field. Everybody knows what's up. Nobody can't play around like they don't know, or play around like, hey, I know more than somebody. No, everybody knows what's up. What are you trying? What do you mean you're going to point to stuff and talk about certain things or certain things because it looks like certain things or whatever? What the hell are you talking about?
That's that under the spell of inquisitional practices. That's what that is. That's why if you follow the Spanish Inquisition, the things that they took away, and that they think they suffering from slavery. No, you suffer from Spanish Inquisition practices that still occur now to this day.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we under. Ain't no racism, nothing like no Spanish Inquisition practices. And now we strip of everything, and it's great because Grand Sheet, that book, We Are All Moors. Man, you just went in. My brain is jumping. I gotta skip the subject again because there's a lot of scholars. You know, you got the Golden Age of the Moors. You can name all the books. You know, the Moors in Europe, the Moors 3-volume book. You know what I mean? And the Norman Jid said, yo, you know what? Yo, stop pussyfooting and just tell them we are all Moors. And he just dropped it, and like everybody else was tiptoeing around the subject. And he just dropped the whole thing on them, and like none of our scholar guys did it. Only the prophet would do it. But and then it took Norman Jid to come like, you know what? Let me have to remind him again.
I'm going to tell him. That's all he said. I'm going to tell him.
Right.
You don't want to hear anybody else?
Because he read everybody else's stuff. He read all. You can tell in his writings. Like, he read Golden Age of the Moor. He read about the Moorish history in depth. He read books I've never even heard about the Moors. And I'm like, oh, wow. I didn't know all these books was written about the Moors. He went in crazy to prove that the whole world, the whole world is Moors.
Right.
And he does it.
And what's crazy, too, is that's the same way that it was with Drew Ali. Just like this book you never heard about. Him, you never heard about. You heard about all these other books. You heard about all these other people. And you never heard about this book yet? How come nobody brought up this book yet? Did a DVD or whatever on this book?
He might got Circle 7 Quran in the back as a reference. Let me check his stuff. Because he might have been using, to prove the whole world was Moors, you would have to use the prophet's literature.
It's something. Right. So,
because if the whole world was Asia.
2009. And
that's the year the book came out.
I had to have heard about this book. There's no way. Minnesota and London Press.
You went crazy.
Right? Because it's not fair that since 2009 nobody's brought up that book. I hear nobody bring this book. If they brought it up, accept my apologies. I wasn't listening. But 5 pages and my head is messed up. 5 pages. Just flipping through, just reading a page, see what's in this book. 5 pages, messed up. Truth is all it's about. Ain't nothing about nothing else. Anything else is falsehood. Even truth and falsehood strangely mixed is dead. Forget falsehood. It's out of here because we know what it is. So we're not letting it mix with truth anymore. We're not letting your little BS slide in. Try to taint the Moors. Have the Moors thinking crazy. People claiming that they're Hebrew Israelite or whatever, when we know Hebrew Israelites who are Moors. And they got nationality declared with Moroccan flag on it. They got some Hebrew whatever. They got Moroccan flag. Yeah, they got their Hebrew name, but they got El Bedo. They're not playing around with not being El or Bay. Because they understand that this is about nationality and birthright. It's not about your religion. Not about your fake name that you made up that's what you are. You're Israelite. You're a Sarite. You're an Isra. You're an Israel. You're still a Moor. But nah, you want to be Moors. You want to talk BS about Moors. And then try to tie all Moors to this dirty Moor that we don't even deal with him. How are you questioning Taharka like he's the one that wrote some Moors and Masonry and is getting interviewed on Taharka Singh. Is that but no, that's how you know these people working together. People use people's names so they can get boosts. Then talking about they're against something, but they're in unity with the people who call people black and colored. And people who tell people that they're black and then they buy Prada shoes and leave court in a Benz while everybody took the bus.
You get this, which is Albert Pike. Where's that? The yoni. What's that? A vagina? What's that? Venus. Wait a minute. More science is practicing wait a minute. Doesn't Albert Pike wear that? What's going on here, buddy? What? Talker, you can talk me out of that, buddy? What's going on here? Wait a minute. Freemasonry is a fraternal order which is worldwide and is essentially an institution which preserves key knowledge parts of true human history: anthropology, philosophy, religion, cosmology, metaphysics, mathematics, science, liberal arts, world history, spiritual geometry, jurisprudence, law, moral government, astrology, alchemy, and potent powers of the planet Earth. Freemasonry is more science, the modern name for the ancient blah 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 blah. Okay. In other words, what needs to be said here is, come on, Sarge. Come on, Sarge. Okay? Niggas is cooning. Okay?
Islam.
Islam, boy.
See how you try to go in on that Freemasonry? Like it started from
Hold on.
Albert Pike.
Hold on a second. Here's the spike back. Okay, go ahead, more.
Yep, the part where he's going crazy on Albert Pike and Freemasonry, like these modern Europeans made up Freemasonry. In the book Gateway to Atlantis from Andrew Collins, page 191, it states that it says many Europeans clearly Europeans clearly recognize the wisdom to be gained from the secret teachings of Islamic mysticism and philosophy, which thrived in more centers of learning, such as Cordoba and Toledo. New knowledge, which included algebra, astronomy, cartography, geography, geometry, mathematics, navigation, classical philosophy, was accessible to those willing to put aside racial and religious intolerance. There is no question that the Moors introduced many of these key sciences to the medieval world. What is he talking about? Some Albert Pike in 17 something. We talking about medieval time. In this medieval world, the Moors introduced all the Islamic mysticisms and philosophies. We had the Moorish centers of learning. How Albert Pike, who he learned from?
Exactly.
Moors.
Who he learned from? Who's really cooning in the hood now? Who'd Albert Pike learn from? And if you trace it back, just like when you look at Beethoven, who he learned from? Even though he's a Beethoven.
Right. Classical music.
Man, who he learned from was he was known as a Moor.
Yeah.
He was known as a Moor. Don't let them fight you away from your birthright. Have you in some clown show, calling it a nation or calling it whatever it is that they're doing. You have a birthright here. This is not a clown show. If you want to clown, take your fez off and your turban off and go over there somewhere and go clown. There's Moors. There's Moors out here that they don't play games with their birthright. They're serious about their birthright. They're not in this because they're trying to get something out of it or whatever. They're in this because they know in their heart, spirit, soul, everything, they're Moor. It hit them deep. It hit them past the body, past the flesh. It hit them. About this realization of who we really are, that nobody ever told us who we are. And now that we're out here, again, we're talking 2008. You didn't have this BS. People talking crazy about morals. Because everybody knew that Moors' dues are getting paid, and they're sitting down watching as Moors have 4 fleets of cars with their own tags on them.
Right.
And people stand up watching, they're conscious. And they don't want to know nothing about Moors. But Moors are shutting down this place. Not because of them. Because everybody knows what's up. Once Moors start exercising, everybody knows what's up.
Yep.
Once that becomes more, yeah, more.
Because I don't want to let them slide with nothing, you know, because they'll try something else, like, oh, the Freemasonry stuff. Like, I want to make sure that is known, that all of that comes from the Moors. Anybody know that stuff is learned from the Moors? Because in all of that, like I said, the new knowledge, which included algebra, astronomy, cartography, geography, geometry, mathematics, all of this is the Freemasonry, mathematics. And it's, well, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But they go straight to the spookism. Like, they doing all of these rituals, which back to the dogma mindset of rituals and stuff. They're not looking at it what it really is.
Exactly.
They're looking at it at the dogma point of view. They still not. These were learning centers. You guys have took it and turned it into Boys and Girls Club stuff behind closed doors in secret.
Hmm.
We had learning centers.
Right, where anybody could learn.
Everybody flocked to them.
Anyone could learn. Anyone could learn.
And to add on, it says on page 191 in The Gateway to Atlantis from Andrew Collins, it says, among those who recognize the importance of more centers of learning were members of the clandestine military orders, such as the Knights Templars. According to the stories, they had frequently trafficked with the Saracens, during the Crusades in the Holy Land. The Order of the Knights of the Christ in the Temple of Solomon, as they were more correctly titled, was founded in 1128 to protect pilgrim routes in and out of the Holy Land. Now, he said some Albert Pike in 17-something. They just said 1128 that the Templars was learning from the Moors. These are who they speak of now. Oh, the Knights Templars, Freemasonic, all of that. Yeah, they opened up in 1128 and they learned from the Moors. They were learning from the Moors. European telling you that. But your own, he on there telling you booty hole symbol, Albert Pike, 17-something. All this comes from that. But the European, he's telling you who Master was. Telling you. But your own, go in there and put you back into slavery, back into the Spanish Inquisition, practices that they do, putting you right back into it, selling you out. Morisco. Because they think if they sell you out, they're going to get a better, you know, a good look at the end.
Yeah.
Like, look at me. I didn't, you know, do the Islam stuff all the way. I'm a good, you know, a good nigger.
I'm a good nigger.
Good nigger.
Exactly.
Say Albert Pike. This from the master teacher, Abdul Talib Mosley Bey. Like, he don't do profound study. That book, More Than Masonry, if you read it, it's over 20 years. The information that he did to put that book together. And then nigger guys gonna come on there and debunk it by saying it's a booty hole.
Yeah.
Now it's debunked. Man took 20 years of his time. This guy comes on there and makes video calling it a booty hole and starts making all these emotional things.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's debunked. It's a debate. It's not a debate.
Not the debate. Just putting out the info that we've been putting out, that we already know. Putting out the info.
I would say that comes from Freemasonry. Like, that's Europeans made up the sciences. Yeah, okay. Yeah, right.
Yeah. You're right. All of a sudden, European did something when it's against the Moors. When they run out of arguments, here they go, bringing up the European and the Moors connection. The Moors are the Masons and talking crazy. Page 51, Moors and Masonry. Abdullah El Talib Mosley Bey. The European Masons proudly donned the Moorish fez as a badge of honor for conquering the Moroccan Moors in their land. Now the European Masons wear the Moorish fez to symbolize their claim of Moorish nationality, sovereign authority, of which they exercise in a substitute and temporary capacity. So it's not really a conquer, is it? If they're substituting, if there's a school with a teacher and the teacher is not there for that day, and there's a substitute that teaches the class, is that substitute secure in that position, being a substitute? How secure are they being a substitute? Well, it depends. Maybe, you know, somebody's sick and they're whatever. You know, whatever. They might be gone for a long time. But whenever they decide to say, hey, substitute, I'm back. Substitute has to get off the pot now. Put down the spoon, get out the kitchen, because your time's over. So remember, their position of wearing the red fez as a badge of honor obviously means there's more behind the Moors being conquered. Because if you're conquered, why are you going to wear the stuff? Unless they're not really conquered. And they're not really conquered because the Negro black colored people are who the Moors are. And they're still here. They just don't know who they are. Which in this time would mean that, oh, they conquered themselves by not knowing themselves.
Right. Right.
thinking that they're doing somebody a favor trying to diss Moors. When, trust me, they're losing members. All these fake whatevers out here. Because time's up. Time is up. That's why they send their little trolls in the chat. But we got chat muftis. Islam to the chat muftis. I see you beating up. I see you beating them up in there because they're trying to play stupid. Like they don't know what's up. Like they don't know what's up. We know what's up. You guys can play around all you want. We see what you're trying to do. You know? Remember, this is supposed to be Abdullah El Talib Mozi Bey, or Moor civil letter, whatever. Moor admits Moors worship Lucifer. It's not supposed to have no Moorish World TV in there. They have nothing to do with this. They probably don't even have the book. All they did was bring the brother on just to try to get some views. You say, well, the brother is a scholar, so let's go on there and listen. You can. I'll just get his book, though. Or, you know, call him up. His number's on the back of the damn book instead of watch him on some goddamn Moorish World TV, which is BS. If he wants to go on there, sure, let him go on there. But don't be like, you know, with Taj in the consular court and now you're chasing behind that like a dumbass. When we're telling you that there's Moors kidnapped right now. That were with that same Moorish consular court, whatever. That those Moors are calling me. Because they can't reach them. But they're out here though. They got a website. They're making videos with classes. People are watching their classes, claiming they're getting knowledge from them. Oh yeah, they gave some good info or whatever. Those Moors are dirty Moors. Oh, but their info's good, so it's okay. All right, you know, whatever. I'll just stick with where I've been studying. Especially since my We Are All Moors is here now. Islam Moor, give thanks for putting that into the ethers. Because it's going to be on with that one right there. It's going to be on.
Coonery. Okay? Moorish science started in the 1920s. Freemasonry started in the 1700s by digging underneath King Solomon's temple and digging up our scrolls where they got their principles from, but they don't keep the Torah and they add in a bunch of folly in their temples, or quote unquote temples. Okay? So, wait a minute. With Freemason. Yeah, real quick. Wait a minute. Did you know the KKK was started by a 33rd degree Mason?
Oh, you want to talk about KKK and stuff? All right, let's just go to Abdullah El Talib Mozi Bey again. Illuminati and illumination of the mind. Illuminati and illumination of the mind. Abdullah El Talib Mozi Bey. Don't forget, go to the website, moorishciviletter.net. Phone number 215-300-5471. 215-300-5471. Tell them Brother Cujo sent you so I can get my honors. Tell him Brother Cujo sent you and go get his new book. And go get all the old books. But since these fake YouTube scholars want to bring up KKK, we're going to go to his book. The Cone-Shaped Headdress. and the robe worn by the Ku Klux Klan, KKK, strike fear and anger in Moors, who by fictitious social engineering are misclassified in the United States and Canada Census Bureau as blacks, Negroes, and colored, etc. The adopted headdress and robe worn by members of the KKK causes many injured and subjugated natural people to recall the many tortures, lynching, and burning at the stakes practiced by the occupying European KKK members. Today, nationalized and denationalized Moors often and by misassociation relate the peregrinous acts of lynching, burning, and torture with the cone-shaped headdress and robe. However, their actions and the true origins and the original Gnostic meanings attributed to them are actually diametrically opposed to one another. This author has been told by few associates and scholars that it would be a huge challenge to get ancient facts and original truth concepts across to the closed-minded, nationalized, and denationalized Moors. Many hold the position that the contemporary stylized belief systems embraced by them through Europeanized miseducation would guarantee their rejection of the facts or the provable truths about the ancient cultural, philosophical, mind science origin of the cone-shaped headdress worn by the KKK. No more? Okay, fine. We'll give you more.
It's a headdress.
Remember, we're talking about a headdress. We're just talking about a headdress. The cone hat worn by the KKK. Now, everybody knows who they are. You already know when they say the cone hat. Right? And then for all you youngins, go watch Coneheads.
Right.
Being a realist, this author does not see this countermeasure against European colonial impersonation and misdirection as an easy task, but is willing to take it head on and will work to address the misplaced fears instilled and invoked upon Aboriginal people by the occupying Europeans. So see all this talk right here? When you hear all these so-called YouTube scholars bring up the Moors, and then they bring up the Masons from some scary perspective, and you don't want to be with those Moors because they got the fez like the Masons and all that. Know that that's European, Eurocentric thinking.
Yep.
Know that that's Eurocentric thinking. Because the fears are misplaced. The fears come from lack of knowledge. You thinking that some compass and square with a G in it is some European thing.
And then say in the same breath, they came from the Caucasus Mountains.
Right?
They'll say that in the same breath.
Yeah. They came from the Caucasus Mountains, but they founded some masonry lodge, whatever.
Right, right. Caveman, man. They Masonic Lodge. Look at that.
Right.
And what's crazy is when you start studying so much, Grand Sheik, you almost forget the BS.
Yeah.
I'll be like, what? That's not true. like, and then I'm like, oh, they all believe this. I didn't. Oh,
yeah. This is a theme with them. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I didn't know they all thought
it's not
that's
just
what
one
it was.
man. Yep. It's not just one guy thinks like this. This is their system. Right?
I'm like, wait a minute. No, nothing like that. It's not. What that European lady say? That's not how any of this works. Tripping, man. He's on there just doing all of that. And Abdullah, and I'm listening, and exactly what you said. Abdullah nailed it. He already knew. Like, I'm going to have to put, they are classified. I'm going to have to tell them, like, because y'all always saying this, you know what I mean? It's like, when you played that video, and then you read that, that was perfect. You didn't have to say nothing else. Just read what Abdullah said. This classified Negro in the United States Census Bureau believes that this, headdress, it's a headdress. Has him feared for his life. Look at Abdullah saying it in an intellectual way, letting him know, like, yo, you're not studied, man.
You're out there. You're out there. You're floating in the water of the universe.
You can get the J.A. Rogers. He breaks that down too, because that's our stuff that they got on. They got on my outfit. That's my outfit that he got on. That's not no clan, whatever. I don't care what you call it now. Okay, that's mine.
I don't care what you researched and found. That's not
right.
If it didn't say it's Moorish, then I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're talking some type of fiction.
My hijab and my headdress talking about KKK. No, that's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. All of them do. Nuns wear your hijab or hijab or whatever. I forgot how to pronounce it. But they wear. The nuns wear it. That's all our stuff. They all wear our stuff still. The pastors, they all wearing our hijab still. All of them. And the nun is the number 9. Still, that's why it's just feminine principle. The number 9. Nun is 9. Nun.
Oh yeah, and then also too, that remember that they're getting scared or whatever, and they don't even know that the G is really supposed to be a 7.
Right.
Or you have a G and a 7 in it.
Yep.
With it inside of the 6-point star. The Star of David with the G and the 7 in it. Because everybody's had this science, used this science in all types of ways, shapes, and forms, except our people. And then when we try to present it to our people, like the great work by Brother Abdullah El Talib Bey, people are not going to take it and put it out like they're supposed to put it out so that the people could really digest what's going on. If they have their agenda, you're in trouble. Because it's not in your favor. Like, it's not in your favor if they have an agenda. I don't care who's on the platform.
That's crazy, Grand Sheik. They'll sit up there all day and just say how we're not Moors and say whatever they are, Kemet, whatever, especially the Kemet guys. It bugs me out because I always listen, they're debating or whatever. But I never heard one of them Kemetician guys break down the science of Kemet. Like the science of like what Dr. Alim does.
Yeah.
You know how he starts going into the sciences and breaking them down and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I never hear them do any of that.
Yeah,
never do any of that. Never. It's just, we were great, and then slavery. Kemet. We need to go back. Yeah. Like, no. That's it. There's no science breakdown of, you know, they just say the 42 laws of Mahat. They just say that. They don't break it down. Nothing. They just be on there yelling. And I'm like, man, that's not anything what y'all doing. Y'all not doing anything. Nothing. Just on there, like you said earlier, don't want to give them the information that put us both at the same playing fields. Because then they don't have no job. They don't have no job because that's their job. Their job is to keep selling you a wish, to keep selling you, oh, well, you know, we need to make black businesses and all that, a fear of a black planet and all of that. That's selling you a wish. Ain't none of that gonna come into fruition. But we already know nationality order of the day. And once you do that, there is no more middleman. You ain't got to pay somebody to go to a lecture and hear, oh, black businesses and stuff like that. We need to get together and have our own stuff. Like, nope, they're going to do it. They're going to do it dirty.
Been heard that.
They're going to do it dirty. Then she went in perfectly on the dude and his Eurocentric thinking, putting the calling it a booty hole. Like, this dude is crazy, man. Crazy.
The Hebrews though.
The Lucifer thing, man, like, not studied. Eurocentric thinking, the dogma. So, because my thing is, too, is because if everything else he's saying, like, he's dissing everything, the science behind everything Abdullah is saying. So what he's still on is the Christian Jesus stuff then. The dogma. He still believes, you know, Easter eggs and stuff. He still thinks all of that. You know what I mean? Knows nothing about Ishtar, nothing. The science, none of that. None of that. Oh, quick fun fact. Tangier is not Tangier. It's 10 ISIS. 10 ISIS. It's not Tangier, it's 10. If you look up the etymology of Tangier, it'll tell you 10 ISIS.
10 ISIS.
But if you get the book Ancient and Lost Discoveries from Frank Joseph, he tells you 10 ISIS is Tennessee. So then you look at that breakdown.
That was a drop the mic right there. That was a drop the mic. And you can't get mad when you hear the boom, 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 boom. Yo, this guy dropped the mic and shit. Yo, man.
I said, what? Wait a minute.
Why you messing up with that mic?
It's not 10 here. Nah, it's 10 ISIS. 10 ISIS. And I said, wait a minute. Frank Joseph said 10 ISIS is Tennessee. Wow. I said, oh my goodness. They always told me you're going to have to get one book and get another book and try to put it all together. But they ain't going to put it all in one book. They're not going to do that. You got to put it together. And I said, yep, there it is. I knew I would find you. I told it just like that. I said it just like that. As soon as I said, I knew I would find you. Home sweet home. There you go. There she go, right there. They all think over there too that I want you to keep playing the video because or the other one because they're gonna go in on that slavery stuff. And I got so much stuff on that slavery. I don't know if you want to go in on the We Are All Moors, because there's so much stuff in there too.
Yeah, there's mad stuff in there. Like
I know you want to go probably another day.
That one there, that one. We be up at 5 in the morning. Sun will be coming up on mornings.
Absolutely crazy. He goes crazy. He got something for any and everybody.
You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
There's a Tangiers, Virginia.
See? I try to tell him. I try to tell him. I tried to tell them. Tried to tell them. And if you look up how the name, look up how they got the name. They got 3 different stories, but it all got to do with the Moors. One of them, Moors was kidnapping Europeans and they ran away. And they came here and they said it reminds them of Tangier. I said, well, didn't you just run away from that? Why would you come here and said this reminds you of the same spot?
Reminds you of the spot I ran from.
I was like, nah. And then they talk about it's another story where they say three I don't know if it was 3 queens. I know it was 3 more Viduses that came here. And they said that it reminded them of home and they named it Tangier. And another one, they said John Smith, he named it. But I said, well, John Smith, if you get the book, Morocco, United States, 1776 to 1956 from Llewellyn J. Hall, it states in there that it states in there that John Smith was a merchant in the Moorish army. So I said, either way, it's still all mine. Yeah. Either way, either 3 stories you want, it's still me, still the Moors, because he worked for me. John Smith worked for me. So even if he did do that, he only could do it because he worked for me. The Moors let him do that. And then we got to relook at the John Smith so-called Pocahontas story again, because if he's working for a Moorish emperor at that time, why would he, assassinate a Moabitess? Yeah. I mean, right. So you already know we was fighting between each other, making Europeans do the dirty work for us. Right in the book. I said, now look at that. Everybody just think these Europeans just came over here. No, Europeans can't just come over here. Europeans was in Moorish armies. Yeah. Moors were selling out.
Moors were selling out.
The other thing too, because I found my book finally. I've been told y'all probably like 3 months ago. The book is called The Sultan and the Queen from Jerry Broughton. And he says on page 20, as the terms, quote, Islam and Muslim appeared in English only in the 17th century, that's the 1600s. Ethnic terms like Moor and Arab were used instead. So before the 1600s, there was no such thing as Islam or Muslim. It was just a Moor. Before the 1600s, there was no. It would just be Moor. You were just a Moor. It was just a Moor. So they'd be like, "Oh, you Muslim?" That's 16th Eurocentric thinking. We was just who we were, Moors.
Moors.
Supreme in algebra, mathematics, cosmology, astrology, everything. The Moors, art and culture, civilization. That's what we was. Muslim and Islam came 16th century. Eurocentric thinking.
Yeah. Yo, they pull up this other joker, black guy, with their slave stuff, right? Again, hiding in their title, but when you really look at it, they're going at Moors. As if Moors did people something. All we do is put the truth out. Don't get mad at Moors. Check the facts. Don't check Moors because we give you facts. Check the facts. Stop checking Moors like we're lying or something. What do we have to lie about? I mean, the dirty Moors, oh yeah, sure, you gotta watch for them. But the studious, sincere Moors, the Moors who rep for the Moors, The Moors who rep for the nation. They don't rep for the little club, they rep for the nation. You can't play around. Some of these people save people's lives. They're the wrong more mad, messing with their master teachers. Moors take their master teachers serious. You got any timestamps on this one, or just were from the beginning?
Oh, I don't even I'm ready to go into this book. Because ain't no way, man. I'm like, as soon as he starts talking about us being in slavery, you can start from there. I didn't get no timestamps though.
Yeah, I just put it from the beginning, yo.
Peace, family. It's your brother YK the Truth. And this video is for the ignorant people that continue to say the transatlantic slave trade was a hoax.
Right, just remember, the ignorant people. So he's talking like this is some generic thing that he's doing. He's debunking the hoax slave trade people.
Oh, hold on, Great Sheik. Islam.
Islam.
And I'm not saying the transatlantic slave trade didn't exist. I'm just saying it was a different people running it.
Islam.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying that.
So this video will be going over the many idiotic claims that they make to why the slave trade never happened here in America.
Right? They make the idiotic claims that they make. Remember, he's talking about these generic people who talk about the transatlantic slave trade was a hoax. They're talking about these generic people. And like Brother Yusuf said, when we think transatlantic slave trade as Moors, we don't see it as the people who you say are in charge, we're really in charge. I don't think so. Because if you tell me a slave master had a ship to go across the Atlantic Ocean in 1600s, that's when they brought them over? No way. No way.
They nicknamed us the seafarers. Come on. They call us the seafarers. You think somebody's gonna be running past the seafarers with cargo ships? Remember the other dude was at the dock.
The people who look like them. People who look like them on ships,
right,
in the ocean, and they're not stopping them. Lucky if they get to the ocean. What do you mean get to the ocean?
I had to make this video because I feel that it's a slap in the face to our ancestors to say that they didn't.
So it's a slap in the face to our ancestors, right? So he's letting you know who he's talking about. But then they and all the other stuff when he's talking about the hoax people. These people are slick in how they know what they're doing, because these are the people who are out here with the trying to make a name for themselves on the stuff. So they went to their little film school and whatever. They know how to do certain stuff. Watch these slick people, because they're trying to get you away from your birthright.
Yep.
They want you to claim victimization spiritually, because that's what this does to you. This makes you feel that you're a victim. All these slave story, whatever. This is not empowering to you. This is not making you feel like men or women. They're showing you pictures of you getting thrown overboard or whatever. That's not what that That's not how that went down. You chained up on the bottom of some ship, lying down, shoulder to shoulder. That's how they had you on a ship to go across the Atlantic Ocean? Just had you laying on your back. Just laying there. For 3 months, 4 months.
Endure the things that they did. That's like you telling a rape victim they never was raped. So I had to make this video. Okay? So I'm going to show you a clip of a fool saying that the transatlantic slave trade is a hoax and it never happened. And he's going to go over why he believes it never happened. Then after he goes over why he believes it never happened, I will refute every single claim he made so they could stop saying that the transatlantic slave trade didn't happen. So here goes, family. Let's get it. Let's put these aborigines to bed. Let's go. The slave ships, you know what I'm saying, that there's something about them claiming that have borders all here on slave ships that is something in which that does not mathematically equal up, because we're talking about a 3 to 4 month voyage. All right. And let's look at one ship with 200 POWs, i.e. slaves that was on the ships. You're talking about 200 to 500 in a major ship would have been about 500, all right, quote unquote, POWs or slaves on there. So we're talking about 200 to 500. So let's look at that over a 3 to 4 month voyage. I just want to know the desolation process in which that was used to transform salt water into fresh water. Okay, so he said he want to know the process of how you turn salt water to fresh water. You didn't have to do that, fool. You didn't have to do that.
Love.
Those ships.
All right. Before, okay, let's do this. Because I said this before, too. Like, before we even go into breaking down the water and the science and all of that, let's just do it real regular for the layman. Real regular. 3 to 4 month voyage. Right? Tight space. You go to the store 20 minutes away. 3 people in the back seat, you sitting in the middle. 20 minutes. People start complaining. People start complaining. You start feeling nudges on the kneecaps, talking about, I need some space. I need 20 minutes. You're talking about 3 to 4 months of that? 3 to 4 months of that right there? 3 to 4 months. You sitting next to the same person. No bathroom run. No 20 minutes. Y'all can't, my boy now, every time he come to my house now, he be like, yo, can I use your bathroom? I'm like, yo, what's wrong with you? What? You can't hold on. We can't hold 3 to 4 months. Y'all pull over every 20, 25 minutes to go to the bathroom. You know what I mean? Yo, they can't sit still. Everybody got something to do. I got, like, what do you mean 3 to 4 months in the same spot? Nah, that's not what. That reminds me, like, when I was little, my mom would send me to the store. I'm like 7, 8 years old. I'm like, Mom, what if somebody take me? If they take you, they're going to bring you back once they figure out how much food you eat. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's what that reminds me of. Like, yo, it's not happening. Like, nah, man, it's too small in here. I'm going to start complaining. Stuff's going to start happening. Like, it don't make sense. That don't make sense. They're going to figure out how much you eat. You coming right back here. Ain't nobody going to take you. Just BSing. Just regular. You ain't got to go in and on the water yet. This tight space. 20-minute ride. Back
you got to go in on the water. You don't have to go in on the water. Man, we don't need
Say that again?
I say we don't even get to the water yet.
No. What? Complaining already. 20 minutes. You talking about 3 to... Man.
No, and
you wouldn't even leave the shore.
And people are looking at it. people are looking at it like, you know, we're cracking jokes, but for real. You know what I mean? Like for real. Let's look at it in real time. And equate real time to back then. You know, even if you have the big truck, even if you have the SUV, the triple XL size, you're not going to be comfy on no 3 months. Even if you had that much space.
And I'm talking about comfortable seats, cushion, you good. 3 to 4 months.
3 to 4 months.
AC on. you can do all of that.
They say the Slim Ship had AC on it. That's why they got through the thing.
Oh yeah, that's how they did it. That's how they did it. They had Wi-Fi on that shit. They gave him some iPhones, and they was like, "Oh yeah, I'm on here for 3 to 4 months. I'm good right here. iPhones, oh good. I'll be scrolling, baby. I'll be scrolling."
The freaking they got the movie, they got the headphones and shit.
Yo, that's all they need. They're good.
Get the headphones, they can watch the movie. They're good.
They start complaining. That battery start dying.
No, don't forget, they got the plug. They got the plug.
Oh, yeah. Right on the ship. They got outlets.
Right on the slave ship.
Right on the ship. They got outlets right now. 3 to 4 months.
Just plug in, charge up.
I'm telling you, they're trying to do it. They'll try to do it. They'll try to do it. 3 to 4 months.
3 to 4 months. Right? We're not even going into the water yet.
Yo,
let's hear
don't go into the water yet. I'm just talking about 2018, how we are now. I can hear people right now. Oh, brother, you're going to have to kill me. I'm good. Kill me right here. I'm not getting in there. You're going to have to kill me. And there'd be a bunch of people doing that too. Like, what? I'm not getting in there? Mess up my Prada shoes.
Yo, I just got these J's. Yo, what are you talking about? I just got these retros.
I just got these J's.
What do you mean? They're white. What do you mean? They're white. I can't go in there. They're white.
Reggie, if I go in there, I'm going to crease my uptowns. We walk with a whole different walk so we don't crease our new sneakers. I think y'all going to get in the snake shit.
Bro, as you say that one. Yo, as you say that one. Yo.
They have a whole different walk.
Yo,
they
bro.
Be all stiff.
For freaking, yo, for about 2 weeks. For about 2 weeks, yo. This youth man walking. Seeing this youth man walking 2 weeks, yo. 2 weeks, this man walk. Then one day I start stopping, like, yo, like you go check that, you get that checked out or whatever. You got checked out what? I'm like, bro, yo, you've been limping for 2 weeks, bro. Like, what do you mean checked out what? Like, you've been limping for 2 weeks. Like, I've been watching you. Oh, no, I'm not limping. I don't want to crease the freaking Air Force Ones. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I told you.
I'm like, bro, what do you mean you don't want to cruise the... Hey, yo, my thing right now, yo, I have it messed up right now. The thing is, when they wear those shoes, they were trying to step on them shoes all day. Yo, these mans have maneuvers. Yo, they have maneuvers to not get stepped on with the shoe.
Yo, I'm telling you.
Yo.
And you're going to squeeze. You know, you're not even sitting in the middle with your right uptown. You're not sitting in the middle with your uptown, bud. Somebody step on the side of your uptown, and you in the middle, you going to look to your right like, brother, I will kill you for stepping on my uptown. You're talking about 3 to 4 months of defecation on the slave ship, right? These people are spilling drinks on each other, shooting each other. You think you're gonna shit on somebody in a slave ship and think that was gonna happen to you? Come on, man. Y'all kill each other over still drinks.
Yeah, duck walk. That's what it was. It was duck walk. That's what the sister said. That's what it was. That's what the sister said. The sister said, I was like, yo, you believe this guy? With his, like, why is he, and while he's walking away, you know, like, look at this guy. He's like, man, no, man, I'm not getting it creased, man. I don't care. I don't care. So I'm doing the walk. The sister's like, yeah, look, see, he's walking like a duck. I was like, these guys are serious.
He probably got 2 pairs of socks on, pushed up in the front, folded on top.
Oh, crunching the toes in. Oh, these guys.
Boy, he got that crease is not popping in them sneakers. I'm telling you right now.
I'm like, how is that a thing, yo? Like, no creasing in the sneakers. Why you wear sneakers then? Just go barefoot, yo. Like, what's wrong with you?
Right. Just wear the sneakers around your neck. Just put them around your neck. Just wear them around your neck.
Well, around your neck.
And wear your sneakers around your neck.
But then why wouldn't you? But what? Then why wouldn't you do that same thing with ball sneakers?
Right.
Well, you get those creased up.
Yep.
You wear those creased up. You don't care.
Yep.
Those are creased up. You don't care. But now you're walking like a joker, walking like a duck, because you don't want to crease the shoes. I'm like, crease the shoes.
Crazy.
But then again, I was thinking too on that level is that the reason why that happens is because they're not selling them leather right now. They don't got no leather sneakers right now. All their stuff synthetic. These men don't have the 70s, 80s, 90s shoes where you're at least getting leather when you bought shoes. You smell it. Knew it was leather shoes. Now they're just faking people. Into the different kind of slavery now. But the
notes went up.
Hold on. Let me get you to address this one. Somebody in the chat talking about, we must be Moors because we're making fun of slavery. Yeah, you address that since you're the, slave basher.
But making fun of slaves, you're still thinking we was the ones that was enslaved. We're not the slaves. We're not the slaves. That's the whole point. We're not the slaves. For him, we just sat here on this phone for 45 minutes to prove on this little 30 seconds him going in how we are not the slaves, period. Like, it has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with Moors. If you look up the definition of slave, it goes to Slavs. That's Europe. It has nothing to do with me. And in some definitions, some dictionaries, it'll tell you that the Slavs was enslaved to the Islamic Empire. In some dictionaries, they actually tell you that. It has nothing to do with so-called us getting nets thrown over us in the jungles and dragged on ships by the hundreds of thousands and came over here like 3 for 4. That didn't happen. And like Dr. Aloom is saying, that's why I knew, you already can hear it when a Moor speak. He put it right in proper perspective. He said POW, first thing, prisoners of war. He made sure that that's clarified. Like, there's a difference between what they say slavery is and a prisoner of war. A prisoner of war, that's a war. It was a fight, and somebody lost the fight. It wasn't no just throw some nets over some ignorant people that live in the jungle. Like, that's the acceptance of people. Like, why would you want to accept that? That's something that is something to laugh about. That's a joke. That's not true.
Right.
That's folly. That's fraud. That's something. If you accepting that story, yeah, I'm gonna laugh at you. Yeah, I'm gonna laugh at you.
Exactly.
Because that's just, why would you accept that? That's a joke.
Right.
That's a joke.
If you're saying your ancestors were slaves instead of your ancestors were kings and goddesses or whatever, you're a damn idiot.
Yeah.
If you're talking about my ancestors were slaves, don't tell me about that they were kings also. You can't be one and the other at the same time. Don't try to make a connection. That's how we talk, because we accept the good with the bad with the morals. Yeah. Moors enslaved people. The majority of them weren't Asiatics. And the Asiatics that we did sell, they lived good. They were complaining about being slaves to the Moors, being Slavic.
Oh no. That's the reason why we in this mess. That's not laughable. I'm not laughing at the reason why we for the karmic debt. No, that's not funny at all. Because I know what the dirty Moors did to get us in this situation.
Where we're at right now.
I don't promote your anybody putting somebody under what they call slavery. Period. That's just wrong.
Yeah.
Like in that concept, we're looking at it like that. If you thinking I'm doing that, no, I'm not doing that. Period.
Yeah.
Like
Don't
no,
go there.
that's why would I do that? That's craziness. That's craziness. That's craziness. But if somebody is ignorant to accept it, thinking that the Easter egg, that bunny rabbits lay Easter eggs, yeah, I'm gonna laugh at them. That's funny. Why would you believe that? Why would you believe that? Yeah, if you think some Europeans coming down some chimney, giving presents out to people that live in the projects, yeah, I'm gonna laugh at you.
Yeah. Coming down the chimney, coming down the chimney of the apartment building.
Right. That us being enslaved from the jungles of Africa, that's a Christmas story. That's Santa Claus. That ain't real.
Yeah.
That ain't real.
Shit.
That ain't real at all. My mother bought me that. My mom bought them gifts under that tree. I know what really happened.
Not playing with me.
I know what really happened. I know who the real slave masters were.
Yeah.
And then that's the other crazy thing. It hit me today too. I said, well, if you Google who was the first slave master in America, Anthony Johnson pops right up.
Tell your brother. Just tell your brother.
I'm like, yo, what are they talking about? Okay, let's say that. All of that happened. All that African stuff, yeah, all that slavery, it happened. Well, when I Googled the slave master, the first one,
yeah,
what he looked like here in America, he was a dark-skinned brother, Anthony Johnson.
Yeah.
Somebody got to explain that. I don't know how they threw nets over the people in Africa in the jungle, and then when they shipped them here for the first time, it was this dark-skinned brother that was their slave master. Why would the Europeans do that? Why would they go over there, kidnap copper-toned people, bring them over here, and sell them to copper-toned people?
Mm-hmm.
How are they doing that?
I still don't get it. Like how?
And while all this is happening, the Barbary trade slave is thriving. I'm talking about thriving right now.
Because remember, if you're talking all that slavery BS and you being brought over here on slave ships or whatever like that, that was going on during the time before the Treaty of Peace and Friendship that sort of stopped the Europeans from getting it. So when we say it was thriving at that time, we're talking about thriving to the point where Europeans couldn't even put a boat in the water. Europeans had to pay.
In Jamestown, Virginia.
Europeans had to pay to go in the water. Europeans had to pay to go in the water. And then it's not guaranteed. Yeah, it's not guaranteed that they're even going to make it to the other side.
Yep. That's where the flags and the first licenses came from. Yep. The Moors did that.
Yeah.
All of that was on the seas. You had to get licenses and stuff from the Moors. Who was that first Englishman again that traveled across the world? What's his name? Their famous Englishman that traveled the world. What was his name? Forgot his name. I know more know it in the chat. I forgot his name. But he got a license from the Moors too. First English navigator to go across the world. He had to get a license from the Ottoman emperor.
Yeah.
I was like, look at this. Look at you. Look at you. And Ottoman just means East men. Otto is East. It's East men of the East. So there you go again, thinking
something in some pale Arab.
It's East men. That's all it means. Men of the East. That's in the book. Islam and Queen Elizabeth, the one I just found back to.
Yeah.
He's dropping crazy bombs in there.
Crazy.
Ottoman or Eastmen. I said, so it's Eastmen? The men of the East? I said, oh, okay. That makes sense. Oh yeah, I did. I dropped the 10 ice one already. Yeah, that bugged me out. The 10 ISIS one is still bugging me out.
The what?
The 10 ISIS. But I want to go in real quick.
Yeah, more.
Real quick. For the slavery thing. In the book Captives, Britain, Empire, and the World, 1600 to 1850, from Linda Coley, on page 55. She says, here's an example. In 1701, 5 men who had been captured while serving as soldiers in English-occupied Tangier finally returned to their native country from Morocco. So they were in Morocco or whatever, and then they went back to their native country. The official reporting this noted without comment that they had been in slavery for 24 years. This was an extreme case, but captives from Britain and Ireland often found themselves held in North Africa for 5 years or more. And before 1700, 10 years was not exceptional. But, okay. It also said, that's 1701. They're saying, but our slavery, so-called our slavery, was supposed to start in Jamestown, Virginia in 1606 or whatever. All right, it continues. It says, more than anything else, it is the duration of these barbaric captives that make the number of men and women eventually redeem the poor guide to the total captured in the first place. The longer captivity lasted, the more likely it was that those enduring it will cross over and turn renegade, or far more commonly simply not survive to be freed. In the mid-17th century, 1 in every 5 European captives held in Tripoli is known to have died every year. By the 18th century, the death rate among Barbary captives was lower, except in the plague years, but it remains substantial. A list of 263 British and colonial American captives in Morocco between 1714 and 1719 shows that 53 of these men died over the 5-year period, just over 20% of the total number detained. This same list also illustrates how the risk of dying in captivity increased relentlessly along with its duration. 48 of these 53 casualties were men and boys whose captivity ordeal had begun in 1716 or earlier. Going in. How could you be? In many years, the plague was the biggest killer of captives and captors alike. Reoccurring epidemics reduced the city of Algiers' population from perhaps 100,000 in the early 1600s, about half the size of London's at that time, to some 40,000 by 1800. But as far as the captives was concerned, major killers also included food poisoning, sudden exposure to hot climate, shame, despair, and mistreatment. When John Whitehead's boat smashed on Morocco's western coast in February 1691, he and his 9 shipmates were seized and marched for weeks on end through Marrakesh, a journey over 200 miles long through the foothills of the Middle Atlas Mountains. Exhaustion, shock, and contaminated water meant that only 2 of the 10 men made it. You guys want to be slaves, man, so bad. You guys want to be slaves so bad. You couldn't be slaves if you wanted to. Yep. These Europeans were too busy walking 200 miles through the Atlas Mountains. You couldn't be slaves if you wanted to.
If you wanted to.
They was too busy. Moore had Europeans in prison 24 years in slavery. 24 years.
Crazy.
That's crazy. They're supposed to be indentured servitude 7 years. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. And like the Grand Sheik said, when they signed the treaty, it was supposed to stop slavery. That didn't stop nothing. That ain't stop nothing. They made the treaty, but they were still kidnapping and ransoming Europeans.
She didn't stop it.
They were still doing it. According to Luella J. Hall, they didn't stop. The last tribute to the Moors was 1831.
1831.
That's 19th century.
Still getting tribute.
That's 19th century. When was you guys slaves? These Europeans was busy. Europeans was busy.
Super busy.
We can go to Ellis Island right now. That's a fact. These guys keep showing you paintings of, they want that to be the slave ship so bad. You can go to Ellis Island right now. And they show you these Europeans was busy. These Europeans was busy.
And it's crazy how it's all because we didn't study why we don't know.
Right.
Like it's so easy to find out that, hey, Europeans were enslaved. Hold on a second. Europeans were enslaved during the time that we were enslaved? Are Europeans enslaved at the same time that we were enslaved? Let's put this one out there. Chapter 2, Moors and Masonry. The Moorish enslavement and ransoming of Europeans during the establishment of European colonies, Portugal, Spain, France, Netherlands, and England in North, South, Central America including the adjoining islands during the 1500s, 1600s, and 1700s. Re-examining the transatlantic slave trade in the context of the Moorish enslavement and ransoming of Europeans during the 1500s, 1600s, and 1700s. Asking the world's most important question: what is the nationality of the people classified as Negro, Black, Colored, and African American in the United States and Canada Census Bureau, and as Black in the Race and Ethnic Standard for Federal Statistics and Administrative Reporting? Points to analyze. The Moors had wars against Portugal, Spain, France, Netherlands, and England during the 1500s, 1600s, and 1700s. The Moors had seized tens of thousands of Portuguese, Spanish, French, Dutch, English, and Irish ships during the 1500s, 1600s, and 1700s. The Moors had captured and held for ransom in Moorish prisons tens of thousands of Portuguese, Spanish, French, Dutch, English, Welsh, Scottish, Irish, Swedish, Germans, and Danish during the 1500s, 1600s, and 1700s. The Portuguese, Spanish, French, Dutch, and English had captured Moors to exchange Moors for Europeans held in European captivity during the 1500s, 1600s, and 1700s. Portuguese, Spanish, French, Dutch, and English had seized Moorish ships during the 1500s and 1600s and 1700s. The French, Dutch, and English had negotiated tribute treaties with the Moors to pay the Moors annual tribute to sail the high seas under control of the Moors for immunity against attacks and seizure of their ships by the Moors during 1500s, 1600s, and 1700s.
But they want to be slaves.
They want to be slaves so bad. But there's a lot more. You already know how it goes. You have any last slaps? Slave slaps, and then we'll just mark this at 214. 214, they got beat down, but we got some more because we gotta defend our master teacher.
Right.
But yeah, if we have a last closing one on the slavery, the last concept.
Mm-hmm. That was the one I had right there. Oh, hold on.
Yep.
I see something. Okay, here we go. Let me see. Accordingly, same book, Captives by Linda Cody, page 103. Accordingly, before 1750, Islam was more likely to be linked in Britain's minds with aggression against themselves than with their own overseas ambition. For it bears repeating that in this Mediterranean zone, it was Britons who were for a long time at risk of being captured and even enslaved by Muslim powers, and not the other way around. He continues on saying, in the 17th century, the English state had been bitterly humiliated at Tangier and forced to pay exorbitant and regular ransoms to Muslim corsairs who preyed on its trade and traded its people. It was still paying ransoms in the early 18th century and still regularly in awe of the Ottomans, a Muslim empire whose rulers regarded all Western Europeans with much the same disdain as did the Qing emperors of China. Islam.
Wow. That's real. You don't need no more than that. They playing games still? Don't worry. We got you guys' number. Playing crazy. Can't stand these Negroes sometimes. Piss me off. Like just like purposeful ignorance or something. I don't know. But yeah, more. Give thanks for that. Give thanks for the Moors for making the "We Are All Moors" manifest. Definitely gonna be taking that in. Islam again, brother Yusuf. Give thanks, more.
Islam, good shit. Give thanks for you and the platform.
Yo, peace and love to all the trap Moors, the trap muftis, yeah, and people who call themselves cars and stuff like that shouldn't be talking anything if you're calling yourself a car. And you're talking crazy to Moors or whatever. You're a car. Shut the hell up. Calling yourself a car. Talking something to Moors in the chat. Islam to the Moors. Peace and love to all the Moors. And we'll see y'all again sometime soon. You already know how we do. Honors to the Prophet. And honors to everything Moorish. Islam, Moors.